And Governor Yahaya Bello has emerged winner of the All Progressives Congress governorship primary in Kogi State. The governor polled 3,091 votes from the 3,596 delegates who participated in the indirect primary. For the governor, it is, quote, not expecting anything less than this resounding victory, but like I stated earlier, I inherited this party that I rebuilt to what it is today, and I'm very much aware of the victory we recorded in the last general elections under my leadership, and today all the party executive members of the great party have really spoken very well, end of quote. He said there is still the task ahead, calling on all former aspirants, cleared or disqualified, to join him. Well, out of 10 governorship aspirants that participated in the primary, Governor Bello's closest rival was Babatunde Irukera, polling 109 votes. Well, that's a slide showing what the aspirants polled, but still on indeed the just concluded All Progressives Congress governorship primary in the state. A policy analyst and professor of public administration, the University of Abuja, joins us now to look at some of the issues surrounding the primaries. Well, I should thank you, Professor Isaac Obasi, for joining us on the program. So Governor Yahaya Bello will seek re-election for a second term in office as a flag bearer of the APC and the November 16th governorship election. Did you see this landslide victory by the incumbent governor coming?
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is normal Nigerian politics. There is nothing strange. Nothing strange. Our democratic values are gradually being eroded. Nobody is playing the game it's supposed to be on the basis of performance. Kogi has been in the news, not lately, for long now, for the wrong reasons. And it has not been easy in Kogi State. And you wouldn't expect that a governor should come out of a primary at a landslide victory. So for me, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see, the APC try to infuse flexibility in its guidelines by giving a free rein to party chairmen, the state chapter, and majority of influential party members in each state to decide, apply to the National Working Committee or NEC, also NEC, to decide what kind of primaries, the mode they will use. So you find out there's inconsistency. That guideline is not bold enough to take a position that should be rule-based. But the freedom is given to state actors who have the wherewithal to be able to railroad themselves through their way, use resources to make sure that they get through. If they had been completely rule-based, they would have insisted through a guideline that would provide orderly democratic practice, that each state should, all the states should adopt this method. But the method they have adopted, for instance, in Kogi State, is indirect.
All right, Professor Obasi, we need to go for a quick break right now. We'll come back to you to conclude on this discussion. Also, still to come, we'll be taking you to Abuja, where YAG Africa is making a public presentation of its report on the 2019 general elections. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program and to some of our stories in brief. We begin with the Federal High Court in Lagos fixing September the 2nd for further hearing in the application by the EFCC seeking the final forfeiture of the $40 million worth of jewelry seized from the premises of former Petroleum Minister Dizani Alison Madueke. Counsel to the EFCC told Justice Owebo that he had just been served the counter affidavit by the defense and would need time to respond. Mrs. Alison Madueke's counsel also agreed to the request for an adjourned date. The FCC is alleging that the jewelry are proceeds of suspected unlawful activities. Elsewhere in Katsina State, the governor summoned Fulani community leaders drawn from the 9 local government areas of the state where security tension has been heightened. The session is tagged "Enough is Enough" is also an avenue for the governor to restate his commitment to the deployment of needed resources to fight banditry, cattle rustling and kidnapping in the state. Well, still on the just concluded APC governorship primaries in the state, we have our guest who has joined us, Professor Isaac Obasi, and we've been talking around some of the issues surrounding the conduct of the primaries. Thank you so much for your patience, Professor. And to finally ask you, should the delegates accept the election results? What do you see happening, even though the governor, who's also now has the party ticket, is saying that, you know, all the aspirants, even those disqualified and those that were cleared but didn't make it, that they should join him for the task ahead?
Yeah, thank you, Millicent. This is the usual requiem you expect. The battle for primaries usually in this country is won before the date of the primaries. So everybody knew that Governor Yahaya Bello will come out victorious, in quotes. So there's the usual thing we do is to call them to support him. And in fact, earlier, somebody has said, oh, we lost the battle in court to stop him, so we'll join him. It's our state. So they know how they settle themselves. I didn't expect anything different. If he had lost, I would have said, oh, democracy is in action. So far, this is what you expect in an environment that is heavily monetized, environment that the chief executive of the state wears enormous powers to intimidate all those who should have democratically contested the space for that office.
All right, we appreciate your time, Professor Isaac Obasi, policy analyst, professor of public administration, the University of Abuja, for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Let's now go over to Abuja again, and this is where our correspondent Kayla McGuire is standing by to give us an update. Yaga Africa watching the vote public presentation of the 2019 general elections. Kayla, we want to know why this observation report is actually coming now.
2019 general elections, and also going to look at some of the ways they can improve for the upcoming elections in Bayelsa and Kogi State. But this particular statement, you know, for mid election observers, they released their election report earlier. For Yaga, they're releasing them now at the end of August. However, they had promised at the time the elections were over, the public statement, which this was out for the Kogi and Bayelsa state elections. That was the promise they made, and I think they've kept that promise based on timing. However, this report in itself basically says that the results of the 2019 general elections were in tandem with the parallel voter tabulation system. February 16th to be exact, when
appear to have bad audio there, but we have in the studio a guest, a legal practitioner, Evan Sufeli, for more on this. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, Yaga Africa, they sent a statement ahead of the Watching the Vote public presentation, and they said this: we need a national conversation on a new electoral design or framework that responds to prevailing socio-political and economic realities. They're saying that failure to do so would imperil the country's 20-year democracy. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Yes, that verdict is what is required of the Nigerian political system. Because if you look at the improvement we achieved in the 2015 election, we were unable to sustain it in the 2018 election. And then that in itself had played a very negative role. It drew us backward, okay, because first coming from the electoral umpire, INEC, okay, where could not harness the process in a way that would deliver the required improvement. Because I keep saying this, that at the end of every election is the beginning of another. Okay, if you look at it right now, the teething problems, okay, of the 2019 election ought to have been collated, and then reviews made on them as we have it now. And then international observers and all other observers collate all the processes, the high points and the low points of the election, so as to improve on the process for a better electioneering, and also the Electoral Act, which is actually outdated, because the last amendment was in 2010.
So, but
Between
you also know,
2010 and now, there's a huge difference.
yeah, we also know that we need a process. So as much as we have, these organizations bringing their reports and their criticisms, as well as what have you, there are processes to amending the Electoral Act, for example, legislation for our elections to move ahead.
Yeah, the National Assembly, its assembly, made the attempt. 4 times it was presented to the president, 4 times it was rejected. Well, the first 3 times, okay, I found, I could say, okay, possibly the president have cogent reasons for not have given assent to it, because as at the second time, there were a lot of lapses, okay? It was not well collected, the timing within which political parties are supposed to submit their names to INEC, the length of time, and then the speed of and all that. We had a lot of issues there, which the president made comments on that and sent them back. But at the 4th one, the 4th rejection, the issues raised by the president were trivial. Were not issues. There were issues that came as a result of the fear that the amendment will affect, or the amendment will make it impossible for the president to clinch the 2019 election. Those were just because, and then if you look at that Electoral Act, it's an act that has not really covered the field effectively. When you're talking about the 21st century in 2019, you should have an Electoral Act that is robust, that have all, the legal force and temerity to look at socio-political culture, and then trap this in the board and make it flexible for election and election.
Let me quickly ask you, and this is ahead of the Bayelsa and Kogi elections, can we expect anything different if we won't be having any updates on our legislature, for example, in those elections? Plus, the CDD, Center for Democracy and Development, said something that they would consider using the Freedom of Information Act to compel INEC to publish the results according to polling units. Do you see them succeeding?
Well, yeah, they can rely on that, because the Freedom of Information Act is a legislation that requires you to compel institutions to release information accordingly. So it's very important. But the most important thing here is that we're going to conduct this same election with the same 2010 Electoral Act. And then the Electoral Act we're talking about, in Kogi, for example, one of the party went to court already asking that the court restrain the primaries from holding, and then because you have all those issues, and let me make this clear, it's very important. I hope the political parties are still aware that the election starts from primaries. If you look at what happened in the past in Rivers State and Zamfara State, you see how APC was thrown out of the board. So I believe that they will be able to make this proper this time around.
All right, legal practitioner Evans Ufeli, we thank you for joining us on the program. And that's how we wrap things up this afternoon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to join the discussion via our social media platforms. I'm Millicent Nwaka. I'll see you soon.